The ultimatum. Captain Mira Reeves stood at the observation deck of Proxima Station, her silhouette sharp against the burnt-orange glow of Proxima Centauri. Below, the colony of New Terra sprawled across the northern continent of Proxima b, humanity's first true interstellar settlement and home to nearly 2 million souls. After a century of struggle, humans had finally established a foothold beyond the solar system. "Captain, they're approaching the outer marker," Lieutenant Wei called from the communication station. "Arcturian vessel maintains steady course. Their transmission states diplomatic purposes only." Mira nodded, her eyes never leaving the approaching ship. The Arcturian vessel resembled a massive obsidian arrowhead, its surface seemingly absorbing rather than reflecting light. First contact with the Arcturian Dominion 3 years ago had opened humanity to the wider galactic community, a community that had been watching Earth for centuries. "Inform the Council representatives that our guests will dock in 20 minutes, Mira said. "And why? Make sure our secondary systems remain isolated." The lieutenant raised an eyebrow, but followed orders. Mira had earned her crew's trust through 15 years of military service and 3 as Proxima's security chief. If she was taking precautions, there was good reason. The Arcturians had presented themselves as mentors, offering technological exchange and protection within their mutual prosperity sphere. A coalition of 16 species spread across nearly 300 star systems. Their technology was centuries beyond Earth's, their civilization millennia older. They spoke of cultural exchange and mutual benefit. But Mira had noticed the patterns. Every species in the prosperity sphere specialized in resource extraction, manufacturing, or agriculture, always feeding upward to Arcturian interests. None possessed significant military or expansion rights. All maintained advisory councils, staffed with Arcturian overseers. "Captain, we're receiving a request for a full station data link during the diplomatic meeting," Wei said. "They're citing protocol efficiency." "Denied," Mira replied. "They can make do with isolated terminals like everyone else." The Arcturian ship docked with perfect precision, connecting to Proxima Station's largest airlock. The delegation that emerged consisted of 3 tall, silver-skinned humanoids, their elongated features impassive. Ambassador Threll, the Arcturian envoy to human space, led the delegation. Behind him stood his aides and a creature Mira had never seen before, a vaguely reptilian being with iridescent scales and 6 limbs. "Captain Reeves," Threll inclined his head slightly. "A pleasure to see you again. May I introduce Vessel Master Krith of the Cerulean Concordance, another valued member of our prosperity sphere." The reptilian being made a complex gesture with its upper limbs. "Your species fascinates us, Captain. So young to have achieved such progress." Mira led them to the station's conference chamber, where the human colonial leadership waited. Governor Elena Santos rose to greet the visitors, flanked by representatives from both Proxima b and Earth. After pleasantries and introductions, Ambassador Threll activated a holographic display that filled the center of the room. "Esteemed colleagues," he began, voice melodious and soothing, 3 years of cultural exchange have proven fruitful. The Dominion believes humanity is ready for full integration into the prosperity sphere. The hologram shifted to display complex diagrams, mining operations, factory complexes, agricultural developments. With our guidance, Proxima b could become a production center rivaling the great worlds of the Cygnus Reach. We offer immediate technology transfers in exchange for reasonable resource allocations. Governor Santos leaned forward. "And what exactly constitutes reasonable allocations, Ambassador?" The terms unfolded. 70% of all rare earth elements, exclusive rights to all discovered transuranics, prioritized shipment of agricultural products, and the establishment of Arcturian oversight committees for all major industrial developments. In exchange, Threll continued, we offer defensive packs, gravitational drive technology, and membership in the sphere's trading networks. Mira watched the Cerulean, Krith, during this presentation. The alien's eyes darted between human faces, seemingly gauging reactions. When Governor Santos requested time to consider the proposal, Mira noticed the slight tension in Krith's posture. "Of course," Thrall said smoothly. "Although I should mention that our directorate has authorized me to inform you that this represents our final integration offer. Previous arrangements were considered temporary." The implied threat hung in the air. The meeting adjourned, and Mira escorted the delegation to their assigned quarters. As they walked, Krith fell into step beside her. "Your people should consider carefully," the Cerulean said quietly. "My species once delayed too long in our decision." "Is that a warning?" Mira asked. "Merely historical context," Krith replied. "The Cerulean Concordance was once 6 worlds. Now we have 2. Later that evening, Mira met with Governor Santos and Earth's representative, Ambassador Chen, in the station's secure communications room. "They're not even being subtle anymore," Santos said. "This isn't an alliance, it's annexation." Chen nodded. "Our intelligence suggests similar patterns across their entire sphere. They establish dependencies, then gradually increase demands until the client species is effectively indentured." Mira activated a display showing the Proxima system. "We've been monitoring their ship since arrival. They've been scanning everything, not just the station, but our planetary defenses, orbital infrastructure, even civilian communications." "Options?" Santos asked. "We could stall," Chen suggested. "Request modifications to the terms. Appeal to their directorate." "No," Mira said firmly. "Krith implied they've used military force before. I don't think they'll negotiate in good faith once rejected." Santos studied Mira. "You've been anticipating this, haven't you? That's why you've been running all those system isolation drills for the past year." Mira nodded. "I've been working with Earth Defense Command on contingencies. We're more prepared than the Arcturians realize." "How prepared?" Chen asked skeptically. Instead of answering directly, Mira entered a complex authorization code into her terminal. A hidden compartment in the wall slid open, revealing a small metallic sphere. "This," she said, "is Project Prometheus. For the past 2 years, we've been developing technology based on partial reverse engineering of Arcturian systems combined with our own research paths." The sphere projected a hologram showing a network of satellites and defense platforms. "We have 97 platforms already deployed in stealth configurations throughout the Proxima system. We've also fitted our existing fleet with prototype shields and weapons systems." Chen's eyes widened. "How did you manage this without detection?" "The Arcturians underestimated us," Mira said. "They think we're centuries behind them technologically, so they weren't looking for advanced stealth systems. And we've kept everything compartmentalized. Even most of my officers don't know the full extent." "This isn't just defense," Santos realized. "This is a statement." "Yes," Mira agreed. "If we accept their terms now, we'll never break free. Humanity becomes just another resource provider for their empire." The following morning, the colonial leadership reconvened with the Arcturian delegation. Ambassador Thrall seemed confident, almost dismissive in his demeanor. "Have you had sufficient time to recognize the benefits of our generous offer?" he asked. Governor Santos stood. "We have," she said, "and humanity respectfully declines integration into the prosperity sphere under these terms." Thrall's silver features hardened. "I fear you misunderstand. This isn't merely an offer. It's the established path for species at your development stage. Remaining outside the sphere's protection would be inadvisable." "Is that a threat, Ambassador?" Mira asked. "Simply reality, Captain," he replied. "The cosmos contains many dangers for isolated worlds." The Cerulean, Krith, shifted uncomfortably but remained silent. "Let me be perfectly clear," Santos continued. "Humanity seeks fair partnership, not subordination. We propose mutual exchange and true alliance, equal standing, not overseer committees and resource extraction." Thrall's eyes narrowed. "Unfortunate. The directorate will be disappointed." He rose abruptly. We shall depart and report your decision. I suggest you reconsider before our return." As the delegation moved toward the door, Mira stepped forward. "Before you leave, Ambassador, I believe there's something you should know." At her signal, Lieutenant Y activated the room's display. It showed the Arcturian ship surrounded by previously invisible defense platforms, their weapons systems now clearly active. "While we value peaceful relations," Mira said calmly, "humanity is prepared to defend its sovereignty. We're not as technologically limited as you presumed." Thrall's composure slipped for the first time. "This is unexpected," he said, studying the display with new intensity. "And unwise. The Dominion doesn't respond well to threats." "Neither does humanity," Mira replied. "We'll escort you to your vessel now. Please inform your directorate that we remain open to dialogue, as equals." As the Arcturian ship departed, surrounded by a careful formation of human vessels, Mira watched from the command center. The confrontation she had spent years preparing for had finally begun. "All defense systems active," Way reported. "The Arcturian vessel is maintaining course toward the jump point." "They'll be back," Mira said quietly. "And not alone." Governor Santos joined her at the viewport. "Did we just start a war, Captain?" Mira's expression remained resolute. "No, Governor. We just refused to surrender without one." The counterattack. The Arcturian Directorate vessel emerged from hyperspace at the edge of the Proxima system exactly 17 days later. Nearly 5 times the size of their diplomatic craft, its surface bristled with weapon emplacements and energy projectors. Behind it came 4 smaller vessels, warships, clearly, though their design marked them as belonging to other species within the Prosperity sphere. Dominion fleet holding position at outer marker. Lieutenant Commander Park reported from Proxima Station's tactical console. "They're scanning the system intensively." Captain Mira Reeves nodded, her face illuminated by the glow of battle stations. In the 17 days since the diplomatic rupture, every civilian in the Proxima system had been evacuated to hardened shelters. Earth had dispatched its most advanced vessels to reinforce the colony's defenses. Most importantly, the final components of Project Prometheus had been activated. "Any communication?" Governor Santos asked, standing beside Mira on the command deck. "Nothing official," Mira replied. "They're broadcasting general system warnings to all traffic, claiming quarantine protocols." We looked up from communications. "Captain, we're receiving a directed transmission from the Cerulean vessel in their fleet." Mira raised an eyebrow. "Put it through, private channel." The scaled face of Vessel Master Krith appeared on a side screen, voice low. "Captain Reeves, I speak unofficially. The Directorate has authorized full pacification protocols. They intend to make an example of your colony." "Why are you telling me this?" Mira asked. "Not all within the sphere approve of Arcturian methods," Krith replied. "Be prepared. Transmission ends." The screen went dark. Moments later, the main communication system activated, displaying Ambassador Thrall's face. Behind him stood a new figure, an Arcturian wearing elaborate metallic vestments that seemed to flow like quicksilver. "This is High Director Val of the Arcturian Dominion," the newcomer announced. "Your colony has displayed unacceptable defiance and technological violations. Submit immediately to full integration or face consequences." Governor Santos stepped forward. "This is Governor Elena Santos. We've violated no agreements and we maintain our right to self-determination. We seek peaceful relations but will defend ourselves if necessary." The High Director's expression showed nothing but cold contempt. "You have 1 hour to deactivate your defensive systems and prepare for boarding. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force." The transmission cut. Mira turned to her tactical officer. "Status of Prometheus Net. All 142 platforms at full capacity, Captain. Earth reinforcements in position. Ground-based defenses armed and ready." Mira nodded, then addressed the entire command staff. "This is the moment we've prepared for. The Arcturians believe their technological superiority guarantees victory. They expect us to either surrender or mount a token resistance before being overwhelmed. She activated the tactical display, showing the position of every human asset in the system. But they don't understand what they're facing. Humanity hasn't just been playing catch-up. We've been developing along our own technological paths. The hour passed in tense preparation. When the deadline expired, the Arcturian fleet began advancing toward Proxima B, energy weapons charging. They're targeting orbital infrastructure first, Park reported. Firing solutions calculated for our visible defense platforms. Let them come within optimal range, Mira ordered. All vessels maintain position. Activate full countermeasures on my mark. The Arcturian vessels accelerated, their formation spreading to encircle the planet. The first energy lances erupted from their weapons, blindingly bright beams meant to overwhelm conventional shields. Mark, Mira commanded. Across the Proxima system, humanity's true defenses revealed themselves. The stealth fields around Project Prometheus platforms dropped, showing not the simple weapon satellites the Arcturians expected, but a complex network of interconnected devices. As the Arcturian energy weapons approached, they encountered not shields but redirection fields, advanced technology that captured incoming energy and channeled it through the network. Prometheus capturing at 87% efficiency, Park reported, voice tight with controlled excitement. System capacity at 42% and rising. On the tactical display, the Arcturian fleet registered confusion, intensifying their barrage only to watch as their weapons' energy was absorbed into the human defensive network. For nearly 20 minutes, they continued the assault, switching targets and weapon configurations. Prometheus at 94% capacity, Park announced finally, ready for countermeasure deployment. Mira's eyes narrowed. Target their primary weapon systems only. We're not starting a massacre. Execute. The energy the human network had absorbed was released in precisely calculated bursts, not as crude explosions, but as targeted electromagnetic pulses specifically calibrated to Arcturian technology. Across the Dominion fleet, weapon systems flickered and died. Propulsion systems faltered, leaving several ships drifting. Direct hit on all primary targets, Park confirmed. Dominion fleet weapons offline. 2 vessels experiencing critical power fluctuations. Mira opened a channel to the Arcturian flagship, now visibly struggling with internal systems. High Director, this is Captain Reeves. As you can see, your assessment of our capabilities was flawed. We've disabled your weapons but deliberately spared your vessels. We suggest you reconsider your approach to diplomatic relations. For several long moments, there was no response. Then Vessel Master Krith's voice came through instead of the High Director's. This is Acting Commander Krith of the Cerulean contingent. High Director Vol is indisposed. Request ceasefire to assess damage and casualties. Mira exchanged a glance with Governor Santos, who nodded. Ceasefire granted. Acting Commander, we're dispatching medical assistance vessels. Please note they will be under defensive escort. Over the next several hours, the situation evolved rapidly. The Arcturian chain of command appeared to be in disarray. The Cerulean vessels, along with ships from 2 other species, had separated from the Dominion formation. Communications between these vessels and the Arcturian flagship were intense and, from what human monitoring could detect, contentious. Captain, Way called, we're receiving a multi-source transmission request. The Cerulean vessel, plus representatives from the Talarian and Vox contingents. Put it through, Mira ordered. The screen displayed 3 alien faces. Krith, a crystalline being that identified itself as Prime Sequence Teleris, and a gaseous entity contained in a transparent environment suit that called itself Speaker Vox. Captain Reeves, Krith began, recent events have accelerated certain discussions within the prosperity sphere. The technology you've demonstrated today contradicts centuries of Arcturian doctrine regarding development patterns of younger species. The crystalline Talarian's facets flickered with light patterns that translated as speech. The Arcturians have maintained their position through technological superiority and the belief that no species could develop alternative advancement paths. You have disproven this fundamental assertion. The gaseous Vox entity swirled in patterns that conveyed emphasis. 17 member species have maintained secret communication channels for decades, waiting for a catalyst to challenge Arcturian dominance. Your defense of Proxima b provides this opportunity. Mira leaned forward. Are you suggesting a rebellion within the prosperity sphere? Not rebellion, Krith corrected. Reformation. The Arcturians established the sphere through similar means they attempted here. Coercion disguised as mentorship. Many species joined under duress. We propose a meeting, the Tellarian said. Not here, but at a neutral location. Representatives from all interested parties in the sphere, plus your human leadership. Governor Santos stepped forward. To what end, exactly? To establish a new compact, Krith replied. One based on true mutual benefit, not exploitation. The Arcturians have controlled interstellar politics through technological monopoly. That monopoly appears to be broken. Mira studied each alien face carefully before responding. We're open to dialogue, but our priority remains the security of human worlds. We'll need guarantees and transparency about your own technological capabilities. Understandable, Krith acknowledged. As a gesture of good faith, I am authorized to provide technical data on Arcturian defense systems and the true capabilities of all sphere members. The meeting was arranged for 3 weeks later at a previously unused system halfway between Earth and Arcturus. The Arcturians, facing not only human resistance but internal fracturing of their sphere, had little choice but to participate. High Director Val had been replaced by a more moderate faction within their governance. The gathering became known as the Proxima Concord. 32 species, including humanity, establishing a new framework for interstellar relations. The Arcturians retained significant influence, but no longer dominated unilaterally. Technology exchange became more equitable, with each species contributing their unique developments to a common pool. 1 year after the confrontation at Proxima b, Captain Mira Reeves stood on the observation deck of a new station orbiting the neutral meeting ground, now designated Unity Point. Beside her stood Krith, now serving as the Cerulean ambassador to the reformed interstellar community. Your defensive strategy was brilliant, Krith remarked. But I've always wondered, what if the Arcturians had called your bluff? Your technology was impressive but untested in real combat. Mira smiled slightly. Who says it was a bluff? We spent years analyzing every scrap of Arcturian technology we could access. Project Prometheus worked exactly as designed. Perhaps, Krith conceded, but the risk you took was calculated. Mira finished. That's something the Arcturians never understood about humans. We don't just adapt technology. We adapt strategies, societies, perspectives. When backed into a corner, we don't just fight harder. We change the rules of engagement entirely. Below them, representatives from dozens of worlds moved through the station, negotiating treaties, exchanging knowledge, building a more balanced galactic community. Humans worked alongside aliens of all descriptions, bringing their unique perspective to millennia-old problems. The Arcturians believed technological development followed a single, predictable path. Mira continued. That's why they underestimated us. They couldn't conceive that we might take a different route to the same destination. A costly mistake, Krith agreed. For everyone, Mira said. But now we have an opportunity to build something better. Not an empire or a sphere of influence, but a true coalition of equals. As they watched, a new vessel docked at the station, the first ship built with combined technologies from 6 different species, including humanity. Its design was like nothing the galaxy had seen before, a physical manifestation of the new order taking shape. They called us defiant, Mira said quietly. But defiance was never our goal. We simply refused to accept limitations imposed by others. She turned from the viewport to face the future. And now, none of us have to. The end.